Hi, and welcome back to the C. Havoy Engineering channel. Like a gasoline engine, a diesel engine is a type of internal combustion engine. Combustion is another word for burning, and internal means inside. So an internal combustion engine is simply one where the fuel is burned inside the main part of the engine, the cylinders, where the power is produced. A cylinder is a vital part of the engine. The cylinder is a large hole machined in the cylinder block, surrounded by the cylinder wall. The cylinder block is usually made from cast iron or an aluminium alloy. Another critical part of the interior of an engine is the cylinder liner or cylinder sleeve. The cylinder sleeve is integral to the engine block and is one of the critical functional parts that forms the combustion chamber. The major function of a cylinder liner is forming a sliding surface for the piston rings. There are three types of sleeve: dry sleeve, wet sleeve, and fin sleeve. As you can see, in our case, we have a dry sleeve. Why is it called dry sleeve? Because there is no contact with the coolant, as you can see. Most internal combustion engines are cooled using liquid coolant. Most liquid-cooled engines use a mixture of water and chemicals, such as antifreeze and rust inhibitors. The cooling system works by constantly passing coolant through channels in the engine block. Coolant, driven by a water pump, is pushed through the cylinder block. As it passes through these water jackets, it absorbs heat from the engine. The piston is fitted in the cylinder of the engine. It is connected to the connecting rod by the piston pin, and the connecting rod is connected by the crankshaft. The main function of the piston is to transform the pressure generated by the burning of air-fuel mixture into mechanical force. This mechanical force is acting on the crankshaft. We must also mention the functionality of piston parts, like Piston Crown, which seals the cylinder and transmits gas pressure to the connecting rod. Piston rings are the pieces of split rings that are mounted on a recess area of the piston. There are usually 3 piston rings in an engine. The primary function of a piston ring is to seal off the combustion chamber and control lubricating oil usage. The rings also help to convey heat away to the cylinder bore. The first ring nearest to the combustion chamber is known as the compression ring. It is also called a gas or pressure ring. It prevents combustion gases from leaking and transfer heat from the piston to the cylinder walls. A scraper or wiper ring is the ring located at the middle of compression and oil rings. It's designed with a tapered surface and serves as the function of the first and last rings. Its purpose includes sealing the combustion chamber and wiping off oil in the piston cylinder walls. Finally, the oil control rings control the amount of lubricating oil passing up or down the cylinder walls. These rings are also used to spread the oil evenly around the circumference of the liner. The oil is splashed onto the cylinder walls. These rings are also called scraper rings, as they scrape the oil off the cylinder walls and send it back to the crankcase. These rings do not allow the oil to pass from the space between the face of the ring and the cylinder. A piston skirt is a cylindrical material attached on the round portion of a piston. The function of the piston skirt is to travel up and down the cylinder. It's designed to withstand the side forces developed while changing the angle of the connecting rod. The piston pin is a piston part that is also known as a wrist pin or gudgeon pin. This pin is the hollow or solid shaft in the skirt section. The function of the piston pin is to offer bearing support, so that the piston can function properly. This is because the piston pins form a connection or pivotal point of the pistons and connecting rod. A connecting rod is the part of a piston engine that connects the piston to the crankshaft. The connecting rod converts the reciprocating motion of the piston into the rotation of the crankshaft. The connecting rod is required to transmit the comprehensive and tensile forces from the piston. In its most common form, in an internal combustion engine, it allows pivoting on the piston end and rotation on the shaft end. We can say that the connection rod has 3 main parts. Small end. It's the smallest end of the rod that consists of the rod eye and piston bushing. This small end links to the piston through a piston pin. Big end. The part is opposite to the small end of the rod. It's connected to the crankshaft. Finally, connecting rod beam. This part is between the small and big part of the rod. It is usually a double T construction and may or may not contain an oil passage to convey oil to the cylinder. So, what is a four-stroke diesel engine? The four-stroke diesel engine is the internal combustion engine that works on thermodynamic diesel cycle, in which one power cycle consists of four consecutive strokes, which are suction, compression, power, and exhaust. Suction stroke starts when the piston is at the top dead center, TDC, and about to move downwards. At this time, the inlet valve is opened and the exhaust valves are closed. Suction will be created in the cylinder due to the movement of the piston downwards, bottom dead center. The air will be drawn into the cylinder. When the piston reaches the bottom dead center, BDC, the suction stroke will end. Compression stroke starts right after the suction stroke completes, i.e., the piston reaches the BDC. During the compression stroke, the piston moves from the bottom dead center, BDC, to the top dead center, TDC. Due to this, the air which is drawn into the cylinder will be compressed. During this stroke, both the inlet and exhaust valves are closed. The air which is occupied by the cylinder is compressed into the clearance volume, which is available when the piston is at the TDC. This volume is called clearance volume. Now the fuel is injected into the cylinder by the high-pressure fuel injector at the end of the compression stroke. Due to the high compression of the air in the cylinder, the pressure and temperature of the air are increased, which is sufficient to self-ignite the fuel, which is injected at the end of the compression stroke. The air is compressed to as much as 500 psi, and at a compressed temperature of approximately 1000 degrees Fahrenheit, or 538 degrees centigrade. During expansion stroke, both the inlet and exhaust valves remain closed. At this point, fuel is injected into the combustion chamber and is ignited by the heat of the compression. When the fuel ignites, the resulting combustion adds approximately 2600 degrees Fahrenheit, or 1426 degrees centigrade, for a total initial combustion temperature of approximately 3600 degrees Fahrenheit, or 1982 degrees centigrade. Temperature in the combustion chamber mostly depends on the combustion ratio, which is 14:1 to as high as 25:1. The higher compression ratio of the diesel engine leads to better efficiency. So, when the fuel ignites, this begins the power stroke. The expanding force of the burning gases pushes the piston downward, providing power to the crankshaft. The diesel fuel will continue to burn through the entire power stroke. At the end of the power stroke, the exhaust valves are open to exhaust the burnt-out gases of the cylinder. During the exhaust stroke, the inlet valves will remain closed. In this stroke, the piston starts moving from the bottom dead center, BDC, to the top dead center, TDC, and sweeps all the burnt gases from the cylinder into the atmosphere. With this, the exhaust process will be completed. To conclude, in order to effectively power equipment, four-stroke diesel engines complete and repeat the following steps: suction stroke, compression stroke, power stroke, and exhaust stroke. Okay people, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, please leave them for me in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video, and also watch the rest of my videos from my YouTube channel. Please do also consider to support me on Patreon. Thanks very much and see you on the next video.